Hello and welcome StarCraft 2 viewers to another StarCraft 2 amateur cast. My name is Kopo and today we're bringing you a game between MaC, Blue Terran, and Subby, Red Protoss. Map today is Shattered Temple. I'm sure most of you guys have played this map or are familiar with it. As I said in previous casts, Season 2 stuff is on its way out, but I'm sure most of you have still played it at some point, which is actually quite handy. Now give me a second while I turn down some volume so I can actually hear myself talk. Perfect. There we go. So we're seeing the usual stuff, nothing even too cheesy could even pop up yet, so hopefully we're seeing a normal game today. I've recently decided that actually we're going to upload a video longer than 15 minutes and see if YouTube will let me. Hopefully it does because it says I can. So we're actually testing out a longer game. Personally I got sick of casting 15 to 20 minute games because really they got a little bit boring. There's only so much that can really happen in that amount of time. So I picked a longer one. Hopefully this one lives up to the hype of me casting my first macro game. So replays again, guys. Replays. If anybody has any games they'd like casted, feel free to send them in. We'll do them. We'll do them regardless of what kind of game it is. We'll do a 3-minute 6-pool win if you want. It gives us something to do. Never really going to complain about it if you guys want to have us cast one of your games. I mean, it always is cool to have somebody else analyze your play in this way, I think. I had one of my games casted in a tournament once, and to go back and look at that VOD and see exactly what he was saying about my play, I mean, I think it was maybe a platinum or diamond level caster, and to see what he was saying about my play was actually really quite neat, and it helped me in some ways. And I mean, we're not the most analytical of people between me and Skittles, but I mean, any little bit we can help, right? I mean, we can point out some flaws that maybe you didn't see in your own play, even from watching your own replays or whatever. So yeah, definitely send in replays if that's something you guys are interested in, and hopefully we're going to sign on with some tournaments soon, and hopefully get some casting experience done that way, doing some lower league tournaments. Maybe you guys might see us around that way. Crazy path that this probe is going to be following. I actually want to watch him bump into some buildings here, because it looks like that's exactly, oh, right through the mineral line, back, bump to the command center. That's actually, shouldn't be that amusing. But as soon as Marine pops out, it might actually ruin this probe stay, which is unfortunate. So you Gateway Cybernetics Core coming down for the Protoss player, and a barracks with the reactor coming down for the Terran. Hopefully see some Marines out of that. We have one gas down so far, no second gas. So second gas actually shouldn't yet be down. We're still a little bit early in the game. Both players scouting around, trying to find out where their opponent is. Obviously that really helps in a 4-person map to know exactly where the person you're fighting happens to be located. Central Zelnaga Tower on this map, which actually, because of the positions they spawned in, being cross positions, is actually very handy. This is the key fighting ground right here that they'll be fighting over, because this is basically directly in the middle of their two bases. If you spawn in anything but cross positions on this map, then that Central Zelnaga Tower plays absolutely no role whatsoever. Even if you're close by air, I mean, it plays a bit of a role, really, but you can sneak through here if you really have to, right? You can basically avoid the entire range of it. Warp gate being researched by the Protoss. We haven't seen his hand yet. He hasn't shown it. We see one gateway drop. We don't know if he's going to drop 2 more. Maybe go for a 4-gate aggression, or maybe drop a robo. Maybe do a 2-gate expand. Actually, Protoss can pretty much do anything by this point. But Terran has shown his hand a little bit. He's got a second gas down, only mining with 1 harvester so far. Transfers 2 more over. Perfect. And factory coming up. Obviously, we're going to see a little bit of mech play. Mech play against Protoss not nearly as common as mech play is against Zerg. Usually, you can see a lot of bio-heavy builds when you're facing Protoss. Throw some ghosts in there and you're actually usually pretty good to go. But mech would be interesting to see. We see reactor got switched over to this. Hopefully, actually we'll be seeing some Hellion aggression here. Hellion aggression is actually one of my favorite ways to work or harass, because I myself play Terran. And against any race really, to sneak some Hellions in the mineral line can just do horrific damage to these poor defenseless little probes that think they just have it all made. You know, they just gotta go back and forth and back and forth, but Hellions come in and ruin their day pretty quick. 3 gateways down, switching to warp gates, but no 4th gateway or robo down, so we might see a 3-gate expand, which is actually kind of an aggressive expand. We'll leave that for now. We'll see what he's got going down. Stim's coming down for the Terran player, so he is investing a little bit into infantry for sure, which is nice to see, because that's definitely the way to the current way to play Terran against Protoss is to definitely do it some infantry style. Expansion being dropped down by the Protoss. No sign of that yet from the Terran. Is just messing up an army, so obviously this will give him a nice economic lead if he can get it up and running before any aggression comes and hits. But we do see a starport out now for the Terran player who is making a medevac. Actually, because these Hellions haven't moved out, maybe he'll pick them up and do a Hellion drop, which is actually even more creative. Hellion run buys are good, but I mean this ramp's very small, so 1 sentry force field, and all of a sudden those Hellions aren't getting in. But the medevac is able to circumvent that by just flying them in anyways. Barracks and factory appear to be switching over, so maybe we're done with Hellion production. Tech lab here. Oh, we're doing lots of building switching today. It's like musical buildings, I'm just a little bit confused here. Okay, so we got starport on the reactor, factory on the tech lab, and barracks building a tech lab by the looks of it. Hellions loaded up in the medevac, ready to go. We're going to do a bit of a... Well, he's really taking this on quite the route. Obviously to get around any observers that the Protoss might have placed in the middle of the map here. Actually, I like that idea by the Terran. Not bad and not bad at all. So obviously you'll see some medevacs out of this because really he hasn't seen any Colossus out of the Protoss, so he has no reason to build Vikings yet. Obviously Colossi can't be out this early anyways. We do see a robo being dropped, probably for observers. We'll wait and see on that one. Just going to keep it selected so I can see as soon as he decides to build something out of it. Very sentry heavy in the early game here. He's obviously trying to do this expansion with as lean of units as he possibly can. He's trying to get away with being a little bit greedy today, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, if the Terran's not going to put pressure on, then really no reason not to try and get that economic advantage and just have the minimum amounts of units here. So actually that's not bad play by the Protoss, although I do believe Team may have scouted the lack of aggression coming. Oh, and as I say this, see the medevac dropping Hellions in the back, and these are about to go right into the mineral line. And they're just going to roast probes here. They are just going to absolutely roast probes. And Protoss is not... Oh, now he's bringing his army back to defend, but we see these probes are getting pulled a little bit too late. And that was very, very nicely done. Hellion harassed, and he's just going to return back to his medevac. He's done his job. He's done his job, and he's done his job, and he's done his job. And they're all going to go back and just head back home. So delaying mining time by quite a bit. Actually, we're going to use my fancy little tabs that I have. Hallucinated Phoenix getting some scouting in here. Let's see what we got going on here. Control R. Beauty. 17 workers killed. Not all by those Hellions, I don't believe, but a significant portion of them would be. Expansion coming down for the Terran now. So obviously, the difference between 17 and 0 is substantial. Because if we're going to look, see if I can get all my hotkeys down here. Units. 27 probes. Protoss still has a probe lead, but he also is on 2 bases. Definitely not saturating them with only 27 probes. 24 SCVs plus mules with the ever decides to call them down, which we have a little bit of energy here. Terran's definitely keeping pace economically, even though that expansion was up so much earlier. So by doing that Hellion harass, he basically negated the fact that the Protoss had the early economic advantage with that fast expansion. So actually this play worked out really, really well for the Terran. I'm quite impressed. Double engineering base coming down, obviously going to get some double upgrades out of those. He hasn't seen anything to make him build turrets, so obviously that's not the point of those. Another barracks being dropped, we have siege tank, siege mode done, and obviously we're just going to see a little bit of macro here. Terran's getting up his second base, so we're just going to see him, after that successful harass, try and regain some sort of an economic, shouldn't say a lead, but they're on equal footing pretty much, so hopefully we can see something something akin to a more... Oh, lagging a little bit here. What do we got going on? FPS, you're supposed to be going up, not down. Oh, what is going on? We're going to chill out in the middle of the map and see if it'll reset itself here, fix itself a little bit. I'm not really sure what's going on here, guys. Just bear with me for a second. Well, the FPS counter up in the top is actually shrinking quite low compared to what it usually does, which is highly unfortunate. Considering we are at... Actually, we're in a pretty dead spot of the game, so hopefully you guys don't mind too much. Hellions come back for just a little bit more harass, but the medevac's able to pick them up and get them right out of there. Oh, this is kind of annoying. It's a little bit jerky. I was really enjoying doing my first game, too. My first long macro game, I should say, not my first game. Obviously, this isn't my first game I've casted. See a probe train coming down, transfer over to the expansion after those Hellions basically did incredible damage. Let's check the units. Units lost tab. 26 workers now killed, so 9 more lost by those by the Protoss in that last attack. Oh, this is really, really a pain. Orbital coming down. SCVs going to mine. Hopefully, he moves some SCVs over because it's a little bit oversaturated at his main today. He's definitely got some energy to call down some mules down at the expansion. 2 more refiners coming down. Obviously, he's going a little bit heavier into the... he has ended up transitioning into some infantry units after that early Hellion harass, which is very, very nice. I'm seeing 4 barracks total, a starport and a factory, getting some siege tanks out for some defense. And this is actually a very, very good way to play against Protoss if anybody is currently wondering how to solve that problem. I'm just going to pause this quick and see if I can fix what's wrong, guys. Just hold on for a sec. And we're back. Hopefully that managed to fix a little bit of it, and it turns out that it didn't do anything at all. Let's see if that'll maybe help a little bit with the FPS, and it looks like I did manage to give my computer a bit of a break. I was running maybe a little bit too much stuff in the background. So this should give us a much better picture, much higher FPS. We see a small Protoss force moving out to try and take out these rocks at the gold expansion. Obviously he's looking to take a third. Cannons put up here obviously to prevent any more medevac harass going on, because that really has done significant damage to the Protoss, which is unfortunate for him. Pull out the production tab. Do we see a Robo Bay down anywhere? I don't see it. So obviously we're unable to produce Colossi at this time, which is unfortunate. These medevacs coming back with the same 4 Hellions that he originally built, because judging by the health, that's what I'm going to assume. And but this is going to be thwarted by some Stalkers and some well-placed cannons back there. Third time, obviously, the Protoss is able to stop it. The first 2 times it did some significant damage. Let's drop another barracks down here. He's obviously trying to macro like a beast. What do we got coming down for upgrades here? We have 1 attack and 1 armor down for the Terran. And really wish my FPS would just stay a little bit constant. Maybe I'll give my computer a break after I'm done uploading this video. It's been going pretty good all day, so it's only fair to it, probably. Protoss has moved back after destroying these rocks at the gold base. Hasn't destroyed these ones to take a normal third, so we're assuming he's probably going to take a gold third. Nothing wrong with that on this map, especially cross positions, because it's actually fairly easy to defend. Terran drops a scan to see exactly what Protoss has got going for an army, and he sees only gateway units. And we all know that, maybe we don't all know, but I'm going to tell you right now that Terran upgraded infantry can tear through gateway units. Tear through gateway units. Medvacs up there healing the Protoss infantry and stim. Combination of all that, and really the Protoss gateway army can die very quickly. Medvac returns home after a failed attempted drop again, those Hellions. And we're in a little bit of a lull here. No pressure, no harass going on. This Medvac is the only thing that the Terran was harassing with, and now that's been thwarted. So we're just seeing, I wouldn't be surprised if I see the Terran take a third base, or the Protoss take a third base for that matter. This Hellion's just not giving up. These Hellions aren't giving up. This Medvac just seems to be constantly in and out of the Protoss base. Keeping up drops like that is exactly how Terran was meant to be played. Multi-pronged attacks, constantly trying to do drops and gaining position on your opponent is very well, basically it plays right into the mechanics of how Terran was meant to be played. You usually need bio as Terran, so you usually need medevacs to keep the bio alive. And why not make those medevacs also able to carry units? So by doing that, Blizzard basically told us that Terran was going to be the drop, and the multi-pronged attack race. Nothing wrong with that. Definitely definitely goes right up my alley in terms of how you want to play a race. Those cannons are going to make that medvac turn right back around. I think it might realize that it's officially done its time. I don't think it's going to be able to do a whole lot more for it, for the Terran cause. Supply's fairly even though, so obviously they're macroing at roughly the same rate. This is a gold level game, so the macro shouldn't be too bad. Not pro level by any means, but definitely a little bit more solid than your first time bronzer for sure. We see lots of gas being mined, but no thirds being taken by either player, which kind of surprises me. Protoss is getting enough money to do it if he ever decides to drop that. Looks like this probe might be either planting a forward pylon or dropping that third. Apparently not going to be, or just taking the tower for that matter, actually. No reason not to. That tower, like I said, was very key in the beginning. It gives you complete map control when you're in cross positions like this. So, gearing up to take a third, hopefully. I'm really hoping somebody takes a third soon. Terran doesn't even bother to destroy these rocks, so if he's gearing for a third, he's got some rocks to destroy before he can do it. I'm waiting, guys. I'm really waiting. If you're going to macro this hard, and your opponent's not going to put any significant pressure on, you should really try and out-expand. It really wouldn't hurt. Hallucinated Phoenix coming over. Actually gets a heavy Marauder. This might not last too long. Then again, it might also just get shot down by some Marines. That was unfortunate. That was highly unfortunate. So we do see just kind of a lull. No expansion being dropped yet. Terran's getting a little bit high in money. You should really drop an expansion. I always thought it was a little bit ironic, but technically what you're supposed to do, if you get high in money, is to build more money-making things, which is to say command centers. Command centers increase your income, but really they also have a temporary way of killing 400 minerals in your bank. See the Terran finally moving out to destroy these rocks, so the Protoss has officially dropped his third. Some pylons around for some convenient war pins. Actually, this energy field that the Protoss is going on is very well done. It actually overlaps fairly nicely, so you can warp in a lot of places around his little center of bases there. You see the Terran has destroyed these rocks and is moving out a little bit to the middle of the map, actually. If you can get these tanks sieged up and maybe hold position hold a position at the tower. This is definitely a good way to get some map control. Protoss doesn't really want to attack into a siege tank line. No race really does, but definitely the Protoss should be wary of attacking into these tanks. Just see some normal macro back at home. Mostly Marauders being made for the Terran, and now it's 2-2 upgrades. Check the upgrade situation on our Protoss friend, who's also at 2-2. No shields though yet. Shields are obviously the secondary concern to attack and armor. Yeah. Let's see what else we got going on here. Command center being built, obviously, to lift off and fly to the gold expansion. Protoss' expansion is almost up and running. Both gases are down. And really, we're sitting here with fairly significantly sized armies. I don't know what the Terran knows yet. He might not know there's Colossi on the field. He has no Vikings yet. Although Marauders will basically chew through everything that... they do double damage to Stalkers, I do believe, or roughly double. Yeah, I don't know exactly double. Look at that. Because Stalkers are armored, which is unfortunate. So Marauders definitely a good choice against the Protoss army. So are Ghosts. Let's see if we have any Ghosts in the mix here. We have any. Yeah, we have 3 Ghosts. Okay, so EMPs are very good against the Protoss army as well, in case anybody's unaware of that, because they can do. Looks like we're sending the 3 Ghosts out actually right now. Significant damage with 3 EMPs. They can basically kill the Protoss shields and drain the sentries of energy. So by killing the shields, basically takes away half the Protoss health and eliminates force fields by doing that. And there's the EMPs, big EMPs going down on a lot of those units. Coast cloaks and moves away, but this is definitely not a good time for the Protoss to attack after he just got EMP'd. He's got to sit back and recover a little bit, because if we look at it, a lot of his units are shieldless of that. And that was a good job by the Terran. If he'd just used that moment to maybe unsiege and gain a little bit of ground, that would have been perfect. But as it is right now, he's just letting the Protoss recharge those shields, so it was actually a little bit of a waste of energy on the Terran's part. Now we'll see a couple Marauders loaded up in that, but he's just going to come right back, and obviously that was not what he wanted to do. See, the gold base is actually fully operational for Protoss, just as Terran's deciding to drop his down. So Protoss does have some more income coming in right now. So we look at, actually it's very significant. He's got 30 more harvesters, but the Terran's been focusing a lot on getting this army upgraded and mobilizing in the middle. We see Vikings now being made as a response to the Colossi that he saw with those Ghosts. So this is actually gearing up to just be a big giant fight in the middle. Protoss is up by about 30 supply, but that 30 supply is almost entirely workers, meaning these armies are almost exactly identical in supply. But like I said, the Protoss definitely doesn't really want to attack into the siege tank line. He'll take a lot of unnecessary shots, and this Cloak Ghost is right here too. Didn't really work, but leg speed's done for the Zealots, and they're just going to return back. It looks like we see a little bit of a dance going on here. Terran has the siege tanks in the back, which means they are less than effective. Actually, you should definitely unsiege those and move them right about here, I would hope. And then you'd be able to take pot shots at this Protoss army, forcing it to engage, which is actually exactly what the Terran wants to do right now, because the longer that he leaves that Protoss with that gold base up and that much of an advantage in workers, the farther behind he will get. So he really needs to attack now, get that economy going, because right now these incomes are too far apart. He needs to try and end this soon before that economic advantage gets out of hand and translates into a bigger army. Right now we just see the Protoss isn't macroing the best, so he is maxed supply, so obviously we're not going to see units being produced, but he needs to attack with this. He's got way too many minerals. I don't know why they're holding off so much. We see lots of cannons being warped in for the Protoss. He's obviously waiting for those to finish and hoping that the Terran will attack right into these, because that will add a lot of DPS that can hurt the Terran army quite significantly. Terran's got 3-2 upgrades. Protoss has 3-3, so the upgrade advantage again goes to the Protoss. I really don't know what they're waiting for here. I would really like to see a battle. I couldn't tell you who will win, but I can tell you that one of them's capped, the other one's close to being capped, and Terran really needs to try and attack here, even though he's attacking into a big wall of cannons. There's not a whole lot else he can do. I'm not really sure. This engagement could really go either way. Both army comps are meant to directly counter each other. This is very Marauder heavy, and like I said, those Marauders basically chew through the Stalkers. And here we go, finally we see a bit of an engagement here, killing out pylons for warpins. There's the stim going down. They're not attacking into the range of these cannons, and we see Vikings turning apart the Colossi and Marauders turning apart the Stalkers, so the Vikings are still alive, Medvacs are still alive, healing. And we see these Colossi going down in rapid numbers, and this whole Protoss army actually just essentially got melted by this heavy Marauder 3-2 composition here. And that was absolute slaughter. He's going to attack into these cannons and really has nothing to fear of them, because he still has a mad army left. I actually can't believe that went that heavy in the Terran's favor. And we see that the Protoss decided to just leave the game, apparently. Or that is at least the end of the replay. So, not really sure about that one. Protoss definitely had the economic lead, and he had the supply lead for a while. He had the upgrade lead. But the Terran's positioning was very good. He had the siege tank set up, and he had mainly a Marauder composition, which chews through stalkers. Those EMPs, if he actually managed to get them down in the heat of battle, I didn't manage to see that, but EMPs are very good at taking away Protoss force fields and shields in general. And the fact that he had this much of an army left over afterwards is just incredible. That shows the pure strength of a Marauder against anything that the Protoss can pull out. High temps might have been the better direction for the Protoss to go in this one. But either way, very well played by both players. And again, if you have any replays that you want us to cast, send them in and we will do our best to accommodate them. Obviously, we'll do anything you guys send us. So take advantage of that offer. It's a very generous one. So we like to think anyways. So this has been Kopo casting our first macro game on this channel. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys later.